Hey everyone, it's Dyson from Dennis Kirk. Recently, I had the pleasure to sit down and talk to Dave Nichols, the editor of Easyrider magazine, to learn a little bit more about the Paul Yaffe $100,000 bike sweepstakes build. Now, the sweepstakes has concluded and the winner has been picked, and we'll talk about that more in the interview. But first, enjoy.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Dave Nichols. I'm the editor of Easyriders and V-Twin and Road Iron and a bunch of other motorcycle magazines for Paisano Publications.
Perfect. So today we're talking about the Paul Yaffe $100,000 sweepstakes build bike that was sponsored by Dennis Kirk, provided by Easyriders, and that actually was just finished. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just saw it in Anaheim at our Easyriders bike show and was just blown away by it.
So give me some cool features about the bike. I mean, overall, we've seen the huge tire, we've seen the huge rim. What else about this bike is show-stopping?
Well, one of the reasons that Paul Yaffe said he would do the bike in the first place is he had these ideas that he wanted to try, but didn't really have a way to try them on just a customer's bike because it would be cost prohibitive to really do what he wanted to do. And that is he wanted to figure out a way to mount a 30-inch front wheel and tire on this thing and still have it ride as if it were a stock bagger. And so when you actually get on the bike, it's very light, very nimble. It feels like when you sit out on a V-rod, you know how light it is to pull it up off the Jiffy stand.
Yep.
It's like that. It's very light, very nimble. There's no flop at all in the triple trees or the whole front end. Really very inventive, and that was one of the things he wanted to try. He also wanted to come up with a completely new look for the whole back end of a bagger. And so he's doing a number of kits now. One is a pretty phenomenal kit that just bolts right on any stock softail that we also saw at the show. And Paul has always been extremely innovative, and so he used this as a test bed to create products for his Bagger Nation line.
Okay, so front to back, this bike is completely custom. It's completely one of a kind.
Yeah, it really is, and that was part of the whole idea. Is we didn't want to take a stock Harley-Davidson Bagger and give away just sort of a mildly customized version of a stock bike. We wanted to come up with something that was absolutely from the ground up, completely different frame. Every piece and part had to be ordered, and of course, as often would happen, things don't necessarily just magically fit together. So it was a lot of work to put this together and make it all one seamless piece, which
Definitely.
is what we have now. Took about a year.
A lot of time and a lot of planning.
Yeah.
So I know one thing that, touching back on the handling, I've had a lot of questions, people asking about how does the bike handle with that huge tire? And even with that big tire, you're saying handles just like a V-rod. It's very light, very nimble, huh?
Would not believe it. I'm telling you. It's the difference between back in the early 70s, Denver's Choppers came out with rigid framed motorcycles that had 16 over front ends, Springer front ends on. And those bikes, because of the geometry, you could do little donuts in the parking lot. They're nimble, light, and they didn't flop. And were just a joy to ride. And that's kind of like what this bike is. It's just, you would say, if you were blindfolded, you would think it was much more nimble than a stock bagger.
That's impressive. So
you wait till you sit down on this thing.
Unfortunately, it's not coming this far north, else I'd be jumping at the bit. So we've been calling it the Paul Yaffe $100,000 sweepstakes bike. Does this have a specific name?
Yeah, here at Paisano, we call it the Yaffe Dream Bagger. Yeah.
So a lot of the design concept Paul did all by himself. Did Easyrider have any help or any input with the design?
Yeah, we absolutely did. Because of the way we were going to roll out the whole bike, we asked Paul to come up with some sort of a design sketch first, because we wanted to whet people's appetite by showing a sketch in the magazine while he's working on everything, while he's still getting parts from all over the country. So he had a guy named Jimmy Smith do a great rendition of what this bike is going to look like. And we ran that first, and then we started every month doing little text stories about how the frame came together, how the wheels came together, until we finally have the finished bike today.
Just a long process throughout the entire year.
Oh yeah, and very unusual for us, because normally what we do for a sweepstakes is we give you your choice of 5 or 6 different models of Harleys, and you can win the bike or you can take cash. Well, the owner of our company, Joe Teresi, said, let's do something different this year. And when he said, I want a completely custom bagger from the ground up, I just thought, oh dear, here we go. And but it has turned out to be just a phenomenal bike.
So this is not something that's new just for Paul, but for you guys as well.
Right.
Okay.
And I had worked with Paul on custom bikes before, that we used to be involved in different charity events that Paul was involved in. And so we would help him to come up with the parts and pieces that he needed for a custom motorcycle to be given away for a children's ride or some charity event.
Okay.
So we have a past of working with him on these things.
Gotcha. So the concept of putting a 30-inch rim in a much smaller area that it's supposed to be in, whose idea was that?
That was really Paul's, because I would have gone a little safer.
Mm-hmm.
But he had been working with a guy who was explaining to him, why can't we do this and why can't we do that? And he thought about it and said, you're right. Let's give it a try.
And here it came.
It's he's always been very creative, and especially with rake and trail and playing with the geometry of a frame and with triple trees and things. And he's always been that way, but never with a bagger to this extent. I mean, it really is. You look at it from a distance, and because of the way it sits on the ground, it doesn't look like it's a 30-inch wheel.
Very,
I don't know how to explain it, but it just...
very misleading.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I just lost my train of thought for my question here I had for you. During the build process, were there any major setbacks?
Well, anytime you build a one-off custom, you're going to run into fitment challenges and things like that, but certainly nothing that Paul couldn't handle. He would call me from time to time and say, well, here's where we're at, and I had to completely redesign this because it didn't work out the way I'd hoped. But, but that's kind of like just a normal day for him.
It's a matter of, okay, this is what's going on, this didn't work, here's what we're going to do to fix it.
And that's why it took nearly a year. He normally turns builds around very quickly, but when you're really trying to come out with something out of the box and something where you're pushing yourself and you're challenging other people as well and other companies to do this together, it can take a little time, just because you have a learning curve of working together with people, and you have ideas that just, what I like about Paul is he's not afraid to try something that nobody's really done before.
Just the fact that he's able to visualize that tire, the triple trees, the frame,
Yeah.
put everything together and make it handle as amazing as this bike does, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah, in fact, in one of these, I think I've got a picture of the bike that we first showed. Yeah, this was it. I don't know if you can see this, but that's the sketch that started it. Right there.
And it's definitely come to life. I mean, as far as looking at the picture in the magazine versus seeing the bike in real life, I guess I have not personally seen it, but it definitely holds true to the concept.
The colors are very, much more vibrant than the actual bike. We just were processing images of the bike from the Anaheim show, but Paul came out really quickly with a little sneak peek of his 2013 parts.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see there's the actual bike.
Just a beautiful machine.
It really is, yeah.
So from the pictures that I've seen, it looks like it's solid orange. Is it a solid orange?
It's there, it's metal flake,
Okay.
some flake in it, and it's also looks very different inside under like convention lighting, which is how I first saw it, than outside where it just pops.
It just comes to life.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the bike is currently on tour right now, right?
It's on our Easyriders Bike Show tour. In fact, I'm leaving Friday to fly up to Sacramento for the second weekend of our bike show tour. Every weekend there's an Easyriders Bike Show somewhere in the country. I get to judge all the bikes, so
It's a lot of traveling.
a lot of traveling for a short period of time.
I'm sure it'll be good to finally get home when this is all taking place
So, yeah, by the end of February, I'll be ready to go.
and wind down.
Right.
So as far as the bike goes itself, what is your favorite feature on the bike?
I love the absolutely, completely redesigned fairing that I was very surprised because he had gone through about 3 different designs for the fairing. And what he ended up with, it still has this look of, it's a tip of the hat to Harley Davidson, but it's also uniquely Paul Yaffe. And I also really love looking at the back of the bike, at the way that the hard bags and the rear fender and everything flow together. I mean, it looks like the Batmobile.
Just a nice swooping design to it.
Yeah, yeah.
So perfect. So if people want to learn or read more about the bike, where can they go to?
Well, certainly Easyriders Magazine or our website, easyriders.com. It'll be at all of our Easyriders bike shows. And we will be handing the keys to the winner at the Columbus Bike Show here in February.
And I believe that's a gentleman named Kevin from New York. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think his last name is Twitchell.
Twitchell. So, well, congratulations to him. I know I'm definitely jealous.
No kidding. Yeah, I know we've been working out details on how he'll pick up the bike, and I think what we're going to do is Paul always does this. After the bike show tour is over, Paul will take the bike back to Phoenix, and he'll spend a month or 2 making sure that everything is just absolutely flawless and that it runs like a raped ape. And then our man in New York will have it delivered.
Very nice. So, were there any major customizations that Paul has to do to the bike for the winner, Kevin?
No.
So it's just deliver and there it goes.
Yep. Off it goes. Rides off into the sunset.
Well, that's perfect. So,
Yeah.
well, Dave, I just want to say thanks for taking time out of your busy day to interview with me today.
Absolutely my pleasure.
So, have a good one, and hopefully we'll cross paths someday.
Well, maybe at the V-Twin Expo.
I'll be there.
I'll be there too.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and I will talk to you later, okay?
Okay, thanks.
All right, bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Once again, Dave, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us about the Paul Yaffe bike. Now, if you guys want to see the bike in person, it is going to be on tour at one of these Easyrider locations. So if you're in the area, I highly recommend stopping by and checking it out. In addition to the Paul Yaffe bike, there's going to be many more custom builds and awesome bikes there, so definitely take a look. In the meantime, Dennis Kirk is cooking up a new storm. That way, if you guys want to win another custom motorcycle, stay tuned. Until then, I'm Dryson.